Hi, I'm Bradley Barth, senior reporter at SC Media, here on Wednesday morning at the RSA conference in San Francisco. And my guest right now is Casey Ellis. He is the founder and CTO of BugCrowd.
Yes, indeed.
Casey, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So first, let's just start with general impressions of the show so far. Any prevailing themes, or what have you noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always a crazy week, a good week. A lot of people coming together and talking about the cybers here in San Francisco. I think the big theme that I've seen this week from a product and even a talk standpoint is just getting more leverage out of human creativity right across the board. And obviously that applies to what we do with crowdsourcing and vulnerability assessment. But I'm seeing it in other areas of security as well. Some of the technologies that I think were pitched as a silver bullet, 3 or 4 years ago, are now coming back to the human element that's required to actually make them work and reduce risk.
Great, and one of your clients, Fitbit,
yes, yeah.
In the IoT space, are you generally finding now that there is an uptick in interest from IoT manufacturers to pursue a bug bounty program?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think the thing with IoT is that it hit the market so quickly. When it did, it went from not being a thing to being pretty ubiquitous in a short space of time. And security tends to take a back seat when you push a product to market with that kind of pace. So, organizations like Fitbit that we've actually been working with for about 3 years now have gotten ahead of that and said, okay, we need to get a continuous feedback loop happening between people that think like breakers and the people that are building our stuff. And what we're seeing more generally in the market is that other vendors are jumping in and doing that same thing, like some privately, or publicly rather, like Netgear, and many others privately as well.
Now, U.S. Congressman Ted Lieu recently proposed a Hack Your State Department bill that's supposed to encourage the proliferation of bug bounty programs in government. Are you finding now that, well, first, what are your general impressions of that legislation, and are you finding that the barriers for building some of these federal bug bounty programs are falling as they're starting to feel a little more comfortable with the idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a combination of comfort and the fact that the federal government, both here and really globally, other federal governments and state ones as well, they can't find people. They're having horrible trouble hiring, and they're looking at this crowdsource model as a better way to get adversarial feedback into their organization so they can reduce their risk, right? I think with Hack the State Department, I think Ted and his team there did a fantastic job of putting together quite a well thought out plan. And in terms of like the whole idea of it becoming an okay or accepted thing, it's almost like there's a bunch of people standing around the pool waiting to see who jumps in to signal that the water's warm. And what we're seeing in the government space is that there's now more people in the pool. So it's good. I think it's going to be successful. Hopefully, we're doing everything we can to help out with the adoption and the understanding of what's going on around vulnerability disclosure and bug bounty in the Hill, and it's a good thing.
Now, on the flip side, there's another legislation that I know is causing some concern, the Senate Bill 315 in Georgia. Some are saying this is an anti-security research, anti-bug bounty type of a legislation, in the idea that it can punish people for unauthorized computer access or intrusions, even if there was really no malicious intent. So what are your impressions, what are your concerns? Yeah,
I mean, as that was coming together, we got basically tapped on the shoulder by a bunch of people in the security industry and hackers, indeed, in Georgia, to basically help out and try to shape it into something that's at least less threatening to people that are operating in good faith. I think really what it boils down to is that things like the CFAA and unfortunately some of these newer things that are being proposed operate on the assumption that if you're a hacker, you're automatically a bad person. So they don't really have a carve out or a concept of good faith, like digital locksmith type people that have these pretty scary, frankly, if you're not familiar with them, skill sets, but don't intend to use them for harm. They're actually there to use them for good. So I think my main concern, the bill hasn't been fully ratified yet, so that might not happen, and hopefully if it doesn't get ratified, it'll get redone with that more considered. My bigger concern is that this is a trend that starts to catch on, because I think making sure that legislators are thinking through the fact that, yeah, there's hackers who are here to help, and there's actually quite a lot of them, and we sort of need them.
Right.
I think that's really important.
Well, we'll have to see how it transpires. As
Indeed.
you said, it passed the legislature.
Yeah.
It hasn't been signed yet by the governor at least as of yet, as
of
know.
this morning, yeah.
As of this morning.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how that transpires. But in the meantime, thanks so much, Casey.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here. This has been Bradley Barth, senior reporter at SC Media. Until next time, have a safe day online.